As far as the Glock 19 or the Glock series of pistol, in my opinion, yeah. To be completely honest, I'm not a big fan of their angle, and I think a long time I just rejected them as far as being an option. Even though they had a good track record, all this stuff, they're reliable, corrosion resistance, all that stuff. Just because in my shooting, which was mostly more backyard dirt shooting slash more, Camp Perry style shooting, where you're standing up and whatnot, the angle just didn't work for me. I always found myself presenting the gun and doing this number when I pushed out, and it was just I liked the more 1911-ish grip angle, and that pointed more naturally for me. What I kind of found through shooting a lot and kind of getting into more I guess defensive style shooting is a lot of times you do take more of an aggressive stance and kind of get more of a crouched position, and when you do, that angle does not affect your shot or your presentation to the target as bad. And what I noticed about the Glocks is in 9mm anyways, is your 26, your 19, the grip angle to me and how it fits my hand does not give me that weird raked kind of front side up presentation. The 17s, 34, I still notice it, even though I'm used to shooting Glocks, and I point these better now than I do a 1911 style grip angle. It just, when I do the 1911s now, my tendency is to have my front sight buried and I can't see it. So some of it is training slash practice, whatever you want to call it. I think the difference on this PPQ is the grip angle is somewhat adjustable in that it does have replaceable back straps, which changes the swell. I think it's a little bit oversold in that most people are going to put that medium-sized grip on them because it fits most people.
Which incidentally, that's the small one.
Yeah, and they're going to roll with it, And for me, how it fits, I would probably step it up, because I mean, when I really squeeze that thing, it slides up in my hand a little bit. So I would probably go with the medium for my hands. What do you think about it? You have, I think, bigger hands than I do, actually.
Yeah, for me, I put the small one on because it fits me real well. Everything lines up nicely. Now, there's a couple interesting things to note as far as the comparison goes. One, I've heard a couple issues, or a couple concerns, I would say, with the PPQ. One is, I don't know if you can see on the back, I don't know how well you can even see that, but it talks about how it has a transponder. Yeah, in fact, let me grab another back strap and we'll see if I can show you. It says it has a transponder in it. I don't know if you can tell. According to PPQ, or according to Walther,
which is imported through Smith & Wesson through Walters.
They're saying that the U.S. imports do not have that transponder, but the question's been raised, how can we possibly know if that's true or not? Well, we're going to put another video up.
I personally believe it's probably causing some mine alteration in Walters owners.
Yeah, I mean, I personally, I don't care. I have no intent of using this for anything other than 100% legit purposes. But I certainly can understand. So there's going to be another video where we're actually going to x-ray these back straps, and we're going to see if there's really a transponder in there or not. The other issue that I've heard, or the concern that I've heard, is the price of the magazines. There's another video where I've went through and I've bought one of several different option magazines, and I'll show you what they cost, and we're going to go out and actually fire them. I haven't tried it yet, so this might be my all-time backfire, but so far it looks like they will function. So I'll show you what they are, where we got them, and how much each one costed. The other complaint that I've heard, and I'll tell you what, Glock's got it going on here, is that all of their 9mm can take the same magazines. I can put a 30 rounder in a Glock 26, or 33 rounder actually, and that's pretty impressive. But to the people that say there's no mag choices, they both come stock with a 15 round magazine. The Glock guys say, but I can put a 17 round magazine in there. And I say that I can too. Then the other guys say, I've got a 33 round magazine. And I say, well, I've got a 30. And and mine cost me $9.50. That might be the worst $9.50 I've ever spent. We're gonna go try it, because hopefully I win the spitting contest, but I'm not.
So one thing that you may notice, and I have, is it has a little bit higher bore axis than the 19. It's not horrible, but it is noticeable. I do notice the sight seems to present a little bit higher, but once again, I'm kind of a Glock guy as such, and I do have some certain biases. And so I notice it. A guy that's used to shooting a SIG will probably think it feels pretty low profile. The lower that bore axis is, however, the better you're going to be able to control recoil. Doesn't matter who you are. Some people can kind of overcome that with a little strength, but it is a mechanical advantage to have a higher grip in relation to the center of bore. One of the downsides, I think, to these is holster options, and being a new design, there's just not a whole lot of stuff out there for it. So I think as a concealed carry thing, you might be able to find some holsters that work for it, but I don't know what are all the contingencies on that. Do you have any thoughts on that men's sights target?
I've already bought a holster. It's from the holster store. I'm reasonably impressed with it. It wasn't that expensive. There are holster options. At some point I might need to try some others. My bet is that a P99 holster works for it, but I'm not certain of that, so don't take that to the bank.
Yeah, it'd kind of be my thoughts too. I think it'd probably work. But
I didn't have any trouble finding the exact holster I wanted. I'm not totally pleased with it, but that's because of the type of holster I bought.
Yeah.
I wanted to try something and it didn't work.
And that's one of the advantages of going with something that's been out there a little bit longer, like the 19 is. There's tons of aftermarket accessories, holster options, yada 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 for this product. So when we kind of take these guns apart, they come apart very similar. It's very Glock inspired, if you ask me. And in a lot of ways, it looks a lot like a Gen 3 19 in that it has a single spring setup. Of course, this one is a Gen 4, but they're very similar in design when you open these things up and look at them. I do like how clean the Walther's is through here. It's just going to be easier to clean up when you're cleaning that thing out. When we look at kind of the internals on the gun, they're both pretty similar, and you can see that they definitely look like they borrowed each other's design a little bit. And extractor is a little bit different, but everything else has some definitely design similarities. Of course, the Walther's is a single action only gun with their safe action style of trigger. What do you think about this? Is this gun as safe as this one because the striker is fully cocked? I
mean, my experience is limited, but for me, one of the things I did not like about the striker fired was the spongy, so I prefer it. I think whether it's as safe is the answer to that is dependent on the individual. For somebody that doesn't shoot as much, maybe not. But for somebody that's looking to have a weapon that's easier to be accurate with, I think the PPQ's got it going on.
Yeah. So what would you say to maybe the 1911 guy out there that's looking at getting a polymer design pistol? Do you think he would be interested in something like this with this single action style trigger?
If he's interested in a good, clean, crisp trigger and does not care for the Glock style trigger, I would say that the PPQ is a much closer approximation to, say, my SIG 226. It's not quite as clean, but honestly, I think the 226 is pushing it. At least mine in particular, as far as how light the trigger is. It's something you definitely need to be careful of. But me personally, thus far, I've been really accurate with it. So, and I have not had a round go off that I didn't intend for it to. But, you know, time will tell.
They do have a loaded chamber indicator on this one, as I understand from the manual. And it's not very good if you ask me, but honestly I don't think you really need one. I think that has to do with California sales. One thing that some guys may be into, if they're into that kind of, this is a 100% German made pistol, correct?
That's my understanding.
That's my understanding as well, and so you get kind of some of those German markings. If you're into that kind of stuff, I think it's kind of neat. I don't know, maybe you should get an HEK next, huh?
Nope.
So anyways, the Walther PPQ, any other things on this you'd like to add?
No, just thank you everybody for watching, safe shooting, and have a good time.
See you guys later.